What if you could upload an entire codebase, 100 pages of research papers, and a video walkthrough, then ask a single question that synthesizes everything? That is no longer theoretical. Google just shipped Gemini 2.5 Pro with a 1 million token context window, and it fundamentally changes how we work with AI. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use it, where it excels, where it fails, and whether it actually beats the competition. For years, the bottleneck in AI workflows was context. You had brilliant models that could only see a tiny window of your problem at a time. You spent more time chunking documents and managing prompts than actually thinking. Gemini 2.5 Pro changes that equation. 1 million tokens means roughly 700,000 words, or about 8 average novels, or an entire enterprise codebase with documentation. But raw context size is just the headline. The real story is that Google has paired this massive window with significantly improved reasoning and native multimodal understanding. You are not just uploading more text. You are uploading PDFs with charts, images with annotations, code with comments, and the model reasons across all of it simultaneously. This landed in the last few weeks, and the AI workflow landscape looks different now. Let me break down what Gemini 2.5 Pro actually delivers. The context window expanded from previous generations to 1 million tokens in the standard tier, with experimental access to 2 million tokens for select users. But context window size without retrieval quality is useless. Google has addressed this with what they call improved needle and haystack performance, meaning the model can actually find and use information buried deep in your input, not just the beginning and end. The reasoning upgrades are substantial. Gemini 2.5 Pro uses an enhanced thinking mode that breaks complex problems into steps before answering. In my testing, this dramatically reduces the shallow pattern matching that plagued earlier versions. When you ask it to analyze a contract against a regulatory framework, it does not just keyword match. It traces logical dependencies. The multimodal capabilities now handle PDFs natively, meaning it parses document structure, tables, and embedded images as first-class objects. Previous models would flatten a PDF to text and lose critical information. Now you upload a technical paper with figures, and the model references specific charts in its analysis. This sounds incremental, but it eliminates hours of pre-processing in real workflows. Let me show you where this actually changes work. For document analysis, the old workflow required splitting long documents, running separate queries, then manually synthesizing. Now you upload entire document sets. I tested this with a due diligence package containing 47 documents totaling 300 pages. One prompt asked the model to identify all material risks, cross-reference them against the financials, and flag inconsistencies. It returned a structured analysis in about 90 seconds that would have taken an associate 4 hours. For code review, context length matters enormously. Most codebases have dependencies that span hundreds of files. With Gemini 2.5 Pro, you can upload an entire repository, point to a bug report, and ask the model to trace the issue through the call stack. I tested this with a medium-sized Python project, roughly 80,000 lines. The model correctly identified a race condition that touched 7 different modules and explained the fix with specific line references. Research synthesis is where the multimodal strength compounds. Upload 10 papers as PDFs, include their supplementary figures, and ask for a literature review that compares methodologies. The model handles citation tracking, identifies conflicting findings across papers, and notes when a figure in paper 3 contradicts a claim in paper 7. This used to require specialized tools and manual cross-checking. Now let me walk you through a practical workflow so you can replicate this. First, upload your files directly to the Gemini interface or through the API. For this demo, I used 3 quarterly earnings reports as PDFs, a competitor analysis spreadsheet, and a market research presentation with embedded charts. Total input was roughly 200,000 tokens. My first prompt asked for a summary of each document with key metrics extracted. The model returned structured summaries with actual numbers pulled from tables, not hallucinated figures. My second prompt asked it to identify trends across all documents and flag any metrics where the company underperformed the competitor. It cross-referenced correctly and cited specific pages. My third prompt asked for an action plan based on the analysis, formatted as an executive brief with priorities ranked by potential impact. The output was coherent, referenced specific findings from earlier in the conversation, and maintained logical consistency. The key prompting patterns that made this work: be explicit about output format, reference documents by name when asking comparative questions, and ask the model to cite its sources. When you tell Gemini to ground every claim in a specific document passage, hallucinations drop significantly. For long context, front-load your most important documents. Despite improvements, models still have a recency bias in attention. Put critical context early. Here is what you need to know about limitations. Latency scales with context. A 1 million token prompt takes noticeably longer to process than a 50,000 token prompt. Plan for this in production workflows. Hallucinations still happen, especially when documents contain contradictory information. The model will sometimes synthesize a false reconciliation rather than flag the conflict. Always verify critical claims. Context overload is real. Just because you can upload everything does not mean you should. In my testing, focused prompts with relevant context outperformed prompts with massive but loosely related inputs. Quality over quantity still applies. Compared to alternatives, Claude 3.5 Sonnet offers 200,000 tokens with strong reasoning but less multimodal depth. ChatGPT with GPT-4 Turbo gives 128,000 tokens and excellent general performance but weaker PDF handling. Gemini 2.5 Pro wins on raw context size and multimodal integration. Claude often wins on nuanced reasoning with moderate context. The best choice depends on your specific workflow. For document-heavy analysis with mixed media, Gemini currently leads. For precise reasoning tasks under 200,000 tokens, Claude remains extremely competitive. My recommendation: use Gemini 2.5 Pro for intake and synthesis tasks where volume matters. Use Claude or GPT-4 for refinement passes where precision matters. These are not competing tools. They are complementary stages in a workflow. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe for more practical AI workflow content. I am testing these models in real production scenarios, not synthetic benchmarks. Drop a comment telling me what workflow you want me to test next. I read every one, and the best suggestions become future videos.